Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Out of the Box Internationals podcast series. I'm your host, Enrique Martos, and today we are digging deep into our alternative democracies pillar to discuss a crucial phenomenon that is challenging all the milestones achieved so far in Europe, challenging the idealism of Europe as the cradle of human rights, the Europe as a reference of morality, of freedoms and modernity. Yes, dear audience, we will be taking a closer look at the current trends of radicalism among youth in the European Union and to the growing numbers of Eurosceptics. To guide us through this intricate landscape, we will gather insights from an expert with vast experience within international organizations, Marko Paunovic. Marko, welcome to the podcast and thank you for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you for inviting Enrique. Let's look at some data, some policy recommendations, and some, let's say, inspiring political processes that maybe could counter Euroscepticism and give the hope to young people in Europe again.
I'm sure we will have a closer look to all these things. So, to start with, far right-wing radicalization has become a growing concern in recent years for European institutions and Euro supporters. We can see this polarization all over Europe, for example, in Belgium, Hungary, Italy, Poland, and a long list of other ones. For that reason, I think it's essential to understand the dynamics, challenges, and potential solutions surrounding this issue. So, to get us started, let's discuss the evolving landscape of right-wing radicalism among youth. How has it changed in recent years, and what are the key factors contributing to its growth, in your opinion, Marko?
So being part of and out of the box, being part of the European policy dialogues, especially on youth through different events here in Brussels, where the youth stakeholders are present, where youth political parties are present, being in position to organize different policy trips and advocacy trips in Brussels, we have followed closely the development of Euroscepticism here in town and across Europe. So there are different data that we can look at, but some recent reports from European Commission says that across the European continent in different countries, there are two different kind of Eurosceptic parties. There are kind of soft ones who are questioning the EU and member states' participation in the EU and especially benefits they can get out of EU, but not concretely opposing the membership. And then you have also hard ones, hard parties that are really against the EU, and very often they sit in the European Parliament and receive the funding of the EU, but they advocate against the participation or membership of their countries. And the best examples we can find in the UK, and especially in the process of Brexit, with Nigel Farage, would hear very often getting salary in Brussels, but in his own country was advocating for Brexit. So when it comes to those parties, coming back to the point, motivated by economic crisis in 2008 and let's say austerity measures, that was one of the main responses of the EU, in my opinion, completely wrong. Young people kind of lost the faith. We got kind of EU. Even EU is not really responsible for all the policies in the member states. Got somehow blamed for this economic crisis. So we got the rise in support to the Eurosceptic parties from 5 to 14%, according to the research, according to the policy briefs and the reports of the European Commission, and soft ones from 7 to 25. So there is a big increase of the support, general support of Eurosceptic parties, and both in hardcore and soft parties. And I think not only that, in reality, the crisis from 2008 kind of created a gap between the countries, which we consider like more situated and more well placed in Europe, big countries, and the one from the south. So also the youth employment has increased. So all this created a little bit of stronger doubts in the heads of young people. What is this EU? What is doing for us? What is this bureaucracy in Brussels? And of course, this being exploited by political parties, also fueled by the fear of immigration, which is in many cases really without the basis. And we came out to something where young people really don't understand what is this about, what the EU is doing, not only young people, but general citizens. There are many things that EU is doing for the young people. If you look at the youth strategy 2027, if you look at the things the EU is doing, you can find a lot of good things. Definitely is not enough, but we are here to help, and everything that we do, as for example events we organize in Brussels or local events, is really to explain better to young people what are the benefits of the EU, how they can benefit out of it, and to open the dialogues with the ones who are making the questions. I think very often we say, oh, these people are Eurosceptics, we don't want to discuss with them anything. I think it's a wrong approach. We need to discuss, we need to have dialogues to understand people who have different opinions, that have dialogue with the ones who are opposing. I think that's also part of democracy, and looking for alternative democratic ways is also creating the spaces where people with completely different opinions could sit in the same table. So this is our mission. And so far, we had an interesting discussions. Very often, we don't have agreements, but it's important to have these discussions.
Definitely. Having a metaphor about it, we can say that these difficult circumstances, this difficult period of time that we had to live in the past 20 years could be the gasoline, no? And I feel these parties take the advantage to be the fire to try to make an explosion about it, right? So Thank you so much for your insight, Marko. It's clear that the issues we are facing are multifaceted and deeply interconnected. Now let's talk about how continue this line of Euroscepticism, which has been, as you said, on the rise. How you can see this connection between right-wing radicalism and Euroscepticism? I mean, I think we already tackled it, but I don't know if you would like to add something else.
I think definitely there is a connection. There is a connection in terms of, I don't think that, first of all, the people who are Eurosceptics, especially the soft Eurosceptics, are also radicalized. I think in that case, we cannot draw the line of similarities. When we speak about radicalization in general, and especially when we speak about the young people, we could maybe write or connect the dots in this case because of some issues that are causing the radicalization. I mean, first of all, we need to look at the trends, not only in Europe, but globally. We have definitely some trends which helps certain groups to radicalize young people, and doing on the project called Alter Narration from 2018 to 2021, we have researched different forms of radicalization and how these forms of radicalization are caused. what is the usual time for it, and what are, let's say, some trends that the cause. So when we look at the trends that cause faster radicalization of young people, is definitely technology. Technology should help us to educate us better, but very often technology is being misused to radicalize young people. Technology helps to stream social media so the young people could receive targeted posts so that their opinion is kind of streamed unplanned by these platforms, but used by radical groups. So instead of helping young people to get a more holistic approach and understanding of the world, they got more streamed into the radical views. First of all, the second trend that is negatively influencing is privacy, and this question privacy, which been addressed in Europe, but I'm not sure if this is really addressed in the global level, is less than before. It's very hard to keep your privacy, who you are, what do you do, and so on. So it's very easy to create access to young people, especially online, and influence their opinions. I think the lack of good regulations in different countries on radicalization is also causing that we are kind of losing the systematic work as well. That all creates vulnerable situation for young people, and young people being vulnerable always as a special group nowadays is even more. And finally, the civic actors like NGOs, like us, are not something really. If you look at the trends, what young people and like, and so it's not really interesting for them. So our work to access to young people, we saw it. They are not interested in traveling to different European events. Especially those people like skeptical young people and so on. They would say, oh, we don't need, why should we go to this event in Spain to meet other Europeans to discuss shrinking of participatory places? So there are different trends that we are kind of creating a negative environment and making a positive environment for the groups. They want young people to be radicalized. Those are different terrorist groups when we speak about radicalization. Those are political groups when we speak about political participation. And those are some business people who also want to sell something to young people, who kind of create one-way thinking. So you asked me how to address those trends. There are many things. The good for us as organization, I said good for us. There are a lot of challenges to be addressed. But as I mentioned in this project, Alter Narration, which we implemented also by the European funding within the Erasmus Plus program, we highlighted a couple of recommendations. There are many of them, but I will take some of them. I think one of the most important things is that we need to understand that radicalization also happens very fast with young people. It's not a process of couple of years. It's sometimes the young people radicalize only in 1 month. So it means that fresh, efficient, and innovative mentoring and counseling when young people is needed. Very often we are late. We lose young people just like that, and they go, and then it's hard to access, to create some conversation with them. Communication, they said, oh, the world is like this, and they don't want to listen anymore. So we need we need community leaders who can spot the young people, fast react. We call them community leaders. They need to be in touch with parents, with schools, and so on. I think this is something which is very, very important. And on the other side, I think what we need is really to understand the spaces where young people are. I am 42 years old, and very often working with young people, I say, oh my God, I don't see where they are, how we can access them, which platform they use now. There are many platforms appearing, we don't know. So we need some kind of, besides the first thing that I said, really society thing, we need this online empowerment of actors dealing with young people and trying to understand a little bit better, try to be ahead of them, because They are faster, they have more competencies than us. And I think it's very important to empower youth workers, organizations, and so on to be ready to go fast. We speak about this already for 5 years, but as more we are speaking, they are like we like to say in my country is like we try to catch the frog and frog gets out of your hand. I know maybe it's not the best comparison, but we are not catching the frog here at all. Young people are better with better competencies when it comes to online things. So I think we need to work on these things. And yeah, it is a jungle, but I think each organization needs to have this smart specialization. We have very much work on these things, but I think each organization could do a little bit by specializing and say, I want to do this small part. I think many organizations are doing everything and nobody's really specialized. I think we also need to focus our work and say, okay, we're going to deal with online bullying in classroom, okay, or during the classroom hours. And then you work on that and you become a specialist on that. And I think this is a way to go. Sorry, Enrique, I make it a very long, but
no problem.
We have a lot of, interesting insights through our project and work in the recent years.
Definitely. I think you covered all the spectrum that I wanted to tackle today. It's definitely true that we must acknowledge the role of the radicalization and recruitment processes, which often happen online. Since, as you said, internet serves as a platform for disseminating radicalistic content, recruiting also individuals there, and facilitating the connection among these like-minded individuals in this specific field. So before we conclude, what would you be your message for our audience on how they can contribute to this counter action, maybe online or perhaps in person?
I would like to come back to the first thing that we spoke about Euroscepticism, because I think it is going to be the most important topic in the first part of the next year, 2024. We have European elections that are coming up, and I think it's important to address both radicalization and hardcore Euroscepticism in these elections. I think organizations need to cooperate together to spread youth-friendly messages on benefits young people have from the European Union, not necessary to advocate for any political option, but to advocate for young people to take a part in political process, to take a part in discussions, exchange opinions, enjoy these participatory spaces, because very often for them, participatory spaces are something they need to do. Let's create participatory places that are helping young people to express themselves, to say what they think, and then collect all these answers, try to inspire other young people, and all together work for participatory democracy. I know the European elections are representative democracy. We are choosing members of the European Parliament to represent us in the next mandate, but this representative democracy process is also part to create participatory models for people to give their say and to motivate others to engage into the process. We have increase of participation in European elections in the recent years, and I think there is a chance again to go in that direction and to bring positive outputs of the process, because this is the moment where democracy is taking place, so why not to enjoy it also?
Definitely. Thank you so much, Marko, for sharing your expertise and insights here with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. And I know that it's truly complicated, the topic in which it's worth to spend hours on it, but at least I feel fulfilled that we could dive and give some insights into the dynamics, challenges, and possible solutions to this current threat with your help. So thank you so much, Marko.
Thank you as well for having me, and I wish you amazing 2024.
Thank you. The same for you. Yes, dear audience, as we wrap up this discussion, it's clear that addressing far right-wing radicalism is a multifaceted endeavor. It requires cooperation, information sharing, and exhaustive understanding of the threat landscape. We hope you gain these valuable insights today here with us, and we look forward to having you back for our next episode. Until then, keep thinking out of the box. If you like this topic, don't forget to subscribe, engage, and be part of the change. This is your host, Enrique Martos, signing off the Out of the Box International Podcast Series. Goodbye and take care.